Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been sitting on a bench in a beautiful park on a lovely day in May while doing nothing else but watching the passing of people? And then suddenly you see a young child jumping around, chasing all that surrounds him with that level of curiosity so typical for children, not caring about what the next minute will bring. Add to that picture his little dog jumping around with him, equally curious. All of that, and probably much more, is hidden in this little piece by Bach. Welcome to Beyond the Notes. Welcome everyone to another episode of Beyond the Notes, a series in which you and I search together for answers to that fascinating question: why music speaks so directly to our heart, why music conveys so many feelings and even stories in spite of not using one single word. Let's have a look today at Bach's D major prelude and see if we can find out why that sunny picture came to my mind. The first thing that strikes anyone who just looks at the score of this piece is that at the first glance nothing happens at all, or in other words, there is not much variation. The right hand plays a rather angular motive, not really worthy of the name melody, by which I mean that this is not a typical tune that you will sing along with your morning shower. The left hand doesn't have much to do in alternation either. 8 notes bouncing up and down in a sort of pizzicato fashion. Let's start with the right hand. I know, I also studied piano at the conservatory, and yes, this prelude is often used as a kind of mini etude for the right hand. How many times have you heard this piece in an endless series of continuous notes that are linked together in a seemingly ultra-democratic way? Something like this. For some of you, it might have come as quite a shock that I play it completely differently. I've had the comment before, and it's true, that I don't play 16th note sequences, but add a kind of inequality, making the first of each group of 4 a bit longer. Listen. Now you can differ in opinion about how much you should stress these notes. In other words, how important you make these notes compared to the others. That's an equally fascinating discussion as the question of why some people like their soup more peppered than others. But when you get to know the technique of that time a little bit, you will immediately notice that these main notes are not at all equal to each other. Democracy was a thing yet to be discovered in Bach's time. All jokes apart, these main notes have meaning even when played separately. Listen. There then arises, as in the left hand, a pattern of intervals that seem to belong together. With the 2 hands together, it sounds like this. It's oh so typical of Baroque music that the essence of this piece, say the feeling, what we are trying to find or at least describe here, remains present. The mood or character of the piece doesn't really change. Compare the naked version with the complete score. Let's listen again. We would omit the main notes for a moment and focus only on what Bach wrote in between. We see that a pattern emerges for which it is best to use the term filling. Groups of 3 notes each, not once, at least among themselves in the groups of 3, with a jump. Each time 3 consecutive notes. For instance, just playing from the beginning without the main notes. To make those differences clear on a keyboard instrument, you can only apply a form of inequality. The French have described this principle extensively in Cluster of Rules, but German music, especially Bach, also applied that principle. Just think, as we listen to the beginning for just a second, a traverse player, the forerunner of the transverse flute, who would play the right hand. He would emphasize these main notes, soften the rest immediately. The clavichord can imitate that a little bit, but not with the same effect. That's why those notes on a keyboard, these main notes, are slightly lengthened. How much? That's a matter of taste. Listen to the beginning again, but this time with all of this information in mind, and also focus a bit on the left hand, of which you now will realize how the bass strengthens the main notes of the right hand, and not only amplify, also literally interacts with it. So again, from the beginning. The effect of all that jumping leads, at least for me, directly to that image of that curious child discovering the world in amazement. The whimsical pattern of music here illustrates him going left, going right, looking up, looking down, walking back, and the left hand bravely joins in, hence the image of the little dog hopping along. And the mood of all of that definitely is sunny, light, warm, harmless. And along the way, they experience everything. There are groups of notes that seem to belong together, that even seem to represent a musical phrase, for example here. And sometimes Bach inserts a very small pinch of drama. Not much, for example here where we just left. Sorry. With a very special ending. Suddenly we hear a lying bass note, the A. Dominant in D major, so not just any note. And I don't want to push the image too far here, but fantasy is such a fantastic way to grasp music. That A could be the dad or mom who now gradually wants to go home. Listen to the compelling effect of that one bass note. So we arrive here. A little further on here, the left hand also protests with the right hand. All of this is culminating in this very dramatic chord with 30-second notes guiding us, leading us to actually cries. But it's a kind of pseudo-dramatic. The chain of 30-second notes that indeed lead us to these cries. The kind of reluctance to go alone with father or mother just out of the park. But the mood changes immediately at the end here. And you almost literally see the boy or the girl walking on with his daddy or mom out of the park. And so a piece of history also disappears from our lives, because don't forget that we are still sitting on that bench. Have a listen to how the ending on my recording sounds in real life. And the Well-Tempered Keyboard is no longer a project. It has been released, not really yet, it's just arrived here at our place. But if you want to be part of the first shipment of this recording, which is beautiful, at least the package, I hope the notes as well, 3 CDs, with all the names of the backers, the contributors of the Kickstarter campaign. If you want to be part of this first shipment, which will be happening in the next 2 weeks probably, go over to AuthenticSound.org, link in the description box, and you get a 10% discount in the first week after the release of this video. And so you become a sponsor of this channel, this project, and especially this video. How cool is that? Of course, you can also understand, feel, and experience music abstractly, without any images. There is no need for images, no words, but sometimes images do help to get the essence of music. Let me know what your story is with this piece. Did you benefit from this story? Did it inspire you to listen to it again? Or listen to it for the first time? To study it or play it again? Let me and the other viewers know in the comments below this video. In the meantime, I thank you for watching, and we see each other very soon again. Bye!